To the victors, the spoils, as they say. And last week, the friends, associates and plain hangers-on of Tony Abbott lined up eagerly at the trough to see what they could get out of it. The first to plunge his snout was the former Treasurer Peter Costello, who's been put in charge pro tem anyway of the Futures Fund. Costello has a proprietorial interest in the fund. It was his idea in the first place, and he's always been furious that he wasn't made chairman before. Well, now he is, and perhaps we should be a bit worried as he seems to regard it as his own project. But there are two reasons for hope. One is that Costello is by nature indolent, too lazy even to pick up the mantle of Leader of the Opposition when it fell into his lap. And secondly, there hasn't been any money going into the Futures Fund since 2007. And given Tony Abbott's priorities, there's not likely to be any in the foreseeable future either. So it's just the sort of sinecure Peter Costello likes best. Next off the rank was Sophie Mirabella, the failed candidate for Indi, failed at almost everything in fact, but she's been rewarded with an extremely lucrative position on the board of, wait for it, the Australian Submarine Corporation. Well, think about it for a moment. Maybe it's not quite as silly as it sounds. It might mean that we can keep Sophie underwater for most of the future 3 years. It's not good enough. We'd prefer cement, but it's not a bad start. But the third and most controversial of the lot, of course, was Tim Wilson, one of the ideologues of the Public Affairs Institute, who has been put on to the Human Rights Commission. Now, given that he spent most of last year saying that the Human Rights Commission should be abolished altogether, expunged from the face of the earth, it seems a slightly odd appointment. But, being a good free enterpriser, when the money was offered, he jumped at it. And his job, apparently, is to emphasise the right of freedom of speech. Apparently the Human Rights Commission's been too preoccupied with worrying about the rights of the miserable, the oppressed, the powerless, the sort of people who really need help. But this is all going to change under Tim Wilson. The people who really need help are people like Andrew Bolt, the media proprietors, Alan Jones, and the idea is that they should be allowed to libel, defame, debase, denigrate anybody they like in any terms they like. That's freedom of speech. Okay, Tim, let's give it a go. You, my friend, are a vicious, spoilt little brat, an ideologue who's made a career out of pissing in the pockets of the rich and powerful. And there are those who would say that as an openly gay person, your vile and unnatural practices break the laws of God and man. They inevitably, as your colleague Corey Bernardi would put it, lead to bestiality, and what's more, they mean you will burn in hell forever. Well, that's probably okay. You probably figured out that was going to happen early in your career anyway. But think about it for a moment. That's a few of the things that could be said about you, and you're tough, rich, in a powerful enough position to take it. How do you reckon the weak and the powerless feel? That's bullying for you, if ever there was. I'm Mungo McCallum.
And happy Christmas! It's a Christmas cracker! Mum!